Today, we're going to be taking a look at Meghan Markle's chart just to get an update because we are heading towards the end of the year here. And there's going to be an important change happening on October 30th, which is going to bring a lot of changes to Meghan Markle's life. So that's what we're going to be talking about today in this video. For those of you that are new to my channel, make sure you like and subscribe. Also, if you're interested in a personal private reading, check for details down below. I am offering a Halloween discount for the month of October. So make sure to check that out. So let's go ahead and just dive right into Meghan Markle's chart. I know that this is quite popular, so that's why I do these updates. People love the Harry and Meghan videos. So let's go ahead and pull up Meghan's chart. Here we go. And quick disclaimer, this is for entertainment purposes only. And also, we are just merely speculating on the astrological energies of Meghan Markle. And, these are all allegedlys. Okay, so before we dive into what's happening on October 30th, I did want to back up for a moment just to give you all kind of an overview of what's happening in Meghan Markle's chart in general. So, and I probably talked about this in some of the previous videos. You'll notice that Rahu is in Meghan's first house of Cancer, and you'll notice that K2 is in the seventh house of Capricorn in Meghan Markle's chart. Okay. And so with this configuration, what I've noticed in general, okay, because this is an overall karma that can affect the lifespan. Now, I've heard it said that this marriage to Prince Harry is the third marriage, because apparently there was one annulled. You guys can correct me in the comments down below. But what I've typically seen when K2 is in the seventh house is this can usually indicate more than one marriage, so multiple marriages. And the reason why there's multiple marriages that occur during the lifetime is Rahu's in the first house, so there is a focus on the self and advancing the interest of the self. And I know probably a lot of you are probably thinking big surprise there, but um, so basically what happens is there's a lack of attachment to other people. Okay, so for example, when somebody is not helping you achieve your goals for self advancement, there could be this tendency to just like let go of that person. Okay, because K2 can bring up this disinterest. Okay, if it's not achieving the person's goals. So there's other famous people that I've studied their charts that have Rahu in the first, K2 in the seventh. For example, there's a lot of there's people that and I believe I'd have to check, but I believe JFK was one of them. And some of these people were very famous. They had very very famous affairs and things like that because of K2 being in the seventh house. Okay, so there can be this lack of attachment there. Okay, because the focus is on self elevation. All right, let me clean up the chart. I just wanted to give you that overview just to understand kind of what's going on in Meghan Markle's mindset. So Rahu in the first is about it. This is about being famous, being recognized, especially with sun being there. So being recognized, being the bright center of a performance. So it's not surprising that she was in this acting and she was in that show Suits, I believe. So definitely Hollywood would be something that Rahu with sun would definitely be something they would want to pursue. Now let's talk about this change that's happening on October 30th, since we kind of got that little overview. So I wanted to give you that overview just because we have to understand that karmically, a lot of people, they're thinking that Harry and Meghan are going to split at some point, and I'm trying to give you the overview here. October 30th, Rahu is in the 10th house of Aries, and it's going to be entering the ninth house of Pisces in the chart. And the ninth house can represent a focus on education, a focus on foreign travel, a focus even on religion. I don't know if she's religious at all, but really what I wanted to focus on especially was where K2 is going to be. So starting October 30th for 18 months, Rahu's going to be in the sign of Pisces, and then K2 is going to be in sign of Virgo. Now, I'm going to be making a video for all of your individual charts. So, it depends what house number it's going to be for you and how it really affects you. But in what I wanted to bring up with Megan's chart was K2 is going to be transiting K2 is going to be making contact with these three planets. She's got a lot of planets in Virgo. And remember, K2 can represent a scattering effect. It can cut off things, especially it cuts off things from our life script, things that are no longer useful. Okay. So that's what's quite interesting about this. Also, I believe the ninth house, by the way, I do believe that's the house that represents the third marriage in a chart. So that's interesting as well. Rahu's going through the house. And remember, Rahu's considered malefic. Sometimes Rahu can bring endings to things because it's a malefic influence. So keep that in mind. So from October 30th, 18 months on. Also, I wanted to bring out that K2 is going to be making contact with all these planets, and several of these planets, especially when we look at Saturn here. Saturn rules the marriage house. Okay, so K2 is going to be going over Saturn, and I got a date for you on that. This is going to be an important date. Around this time, we should see some news with Meghan Markle. Okay, this is going to be September. And those of you that are really intense fans, mark your calendars. September 12th, 2024 is going to be a very important date. We could see some drama with the marriage around that time. Okay, because K2 is going to be going directly over the planet Saturn, which rules the marriage houses. Okay, so there could be some issues there. So definitely there could be something affecting the marriage, and then Rahu's going through the ninth house, which would represent the third marriage. So this is quite interesting to see all these effects that are going on. Now, I also want to bring up she's in the Mahadasha of Jupiter. And I'm going to bring up and the Bhukti of Venus. Okay, so Jupiter, Venus, these are the two planets that we're really focused on right now. Notice that Jupiter, it started in 2015. This is remember the Mahadasha is a very long period. So that started 2015. And let's see, I didn't see the end of it, but it goes on for quite a long time. Now, Jupiter, she's going to be in it for a long time, even into 2030s. Okay. It rules the sixth house, and the sixth house can represent divorce. Okay. So that's generally indicated in this overall karma from 2015, even until now, the sixth house being activated. And also, I believe Prince Harry, he's in a Rahu Mahadasha, and Rahu's in the sixth house, which can represent divorce and conflict. So this is kind of like interesting to see this in both of their charts. Wow. Okay. Sixth house is activated. So this could represent, if there is a divorce, one that's somewhat conflicted. Now, I did want to bring up, she's in the Venus period, Venus Bhukti, which is a smaller period. She entered that June of 2023. And she's going to be there till February of 2026. So she's got quite a while left in the Venus Bhukti. When Venus is in the second house, people might not be aware of this, but there's a few houses that are activated when there can be a few houses that are considered the divorce houses. So let's talk about that, just so you can get a little bit of an astrological education. If you're wondering, like, am I in a divorce period? This could definitely help you. So if someone gets a divorce, they're typically in a dasha period, either by Mahadasha or Bhukti, of either the sixth lord, the eighth lord, and believe it or not, the second lord. So let's talk about that. So the sixth lord would represent like conflict, just not getting along, and you get a divorce. And she's in the Jupiter period, remember? So that is active at the moment. The eighth house, an eighth house period could be like when your spouse suddenly leaves you out of nowhere. Like, you ever hear those cases where someone comes home and the closets are cleared out and their spouse is gone, and they might just have a letter saying, okay, I'm out. So that's what eighth house, it could be absolute shock. Okay, they just leave you suddenly. The second house is Now, this, if you're in a second house period, oftentimes this can represent meeting someone new and falling in love with a new person. So I do want to bring that up. During this period of Venus, Venus is the karaka of romance already, and it's in the second house. So a lot of times, what this represents is there's a certain level of saturation that's reached within the marriage, and then it basically like it feels like the marriage has like all options of the marriage are ended, and then someone new comes into the picture, and then you start developing a relationship with someone new. So this out of all of the divorce options, the second house is the easiest for the native, okay? Not for the other person, but for the person's chart that I'm looking at. So this can represent like going from one mate and just moving on to the next one, you know. And you know, I'm sure a lot of us know people like that. They just kind of move on to the next relationship, and it seems like this seamless like effect that happens. You know, I don't understand those people personally. I haven't experienced that, but there's some people, they just go on from one relationship and there's this smooth like transition, and there's not this despair, long despair period where someone's alone. So in Megan's chart, you know, at least during this period, that would not be indicated. There could be a quick relationship entered into with being in the Venus period in the second house. That's something to be aware of during this time. So I also gave you all, and make sure to watch the Prince Harry video that I just did recently. Um, he's in a more of a malefic period when I look at both charts. Remember, he's going to be entering a Mars period very soon. Now, the other point I wanted to bring up before we're done with this video was the other thing when we're looking, she's in Jupiter, Mahadasha, and Venus, Bhukti. When you're looking at the Mahadasha and Bhukti, you also want to count the relationship between the Mahadasha Lord and the Bhukti Lord. And there's a 12 house relationship. Okay, so this is if you make Jupiter the ascendant sign and then you count the houses, and I don't need to do all of them, but 1, 2, 3, 4. You see that Venus is 12 houses from Jupiter. So this could represent a period until February 2026. Remember, 12th house just represents endings in general. So there's a strong pull for some endings to be happening. And, you know, the second house can even represent a new romance of some sort. Now, like I said, I feel like Prince Harry's chart is more devastating. Okay, if I was to look at both of their charts, and if there's a separation that occurs in the next couple of years here, which I feel like there's going to be one based on both of charts, I feel like it's going to be difficult to keep the relationship. That's the thing. But I do feel like it's going to be more devastating on Prince Harry's end because he's going to be in this Mars period, which is conjoined with K2 in the chart. This could represent like a devastating loss. So this would be one of these separations where somebody's kind of left holding the bag, the emotional bag, right? And you see so many relationships in that way where someone moves on and then there's one person that's kind of like alone and holding a lot of the emotional karma and emotional baggage, and it's really hard to move on. Well, that's going to be more Harry's part in this, and it's sad in a lot of ways because so many of us, even though a lot of my followers are really mad at Harry right now because of his relationship with the royal family. You have to admit, before this whole thing, before this problems with the royal family, Prince Harry was very popular, you know. So this video is about Meghan Markle, but you know, this is going to be an interesting time to watch them. And like I said before, check my video about Prince Harry. That gives you an update about that Mars period. And I do feel like Prince Harry in 2025, I do feel like there's going to be a return to his home country. And I feel like it's not going to work out in the USA. For a long time. So let me know what you all think down below in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.